Eurobangla City SATV News. This is Shibala Alam with our headlines. BNP chairperson Khaltazia is going to return home today from hospital after long treatment for various health complications. The much-awaited Podda Bridge will be open for vehicular movement in next June, said Road Transport and Bridges Minister. US does not want to impose any sanctions against Bangladesh, said US Congressman Gregory Meeks today. BNP chairperson Khaltazia is going to return home today evening from the capital's Evercare Hospital after long treatment for various health complications. Khalda's media wing member said Khaltazia will leave the hospital for her Gulshan residence. Khaltazia has been receiving treatment at Evercare Hospital for various health complications since November 13. Her medical board member said she immediately needs to go abroad for better treatment as she was diagnosed with liver cirrhosis. The government still did not impose of application, while ministers are saying that BNP chief has no scope to go abroad until she files a fresh application returning to jail. Awaited Podda multipurpose bridge will be open for vehicular movement in the next June, said the Road Transport and Bridges Minister Obaidul Qadir on Tuesday. The minister said 96% of bridge's main works have already been completed and the overall progress of the project is nearly finished. Beside 80% construction works of Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman tunnel beneath the river Kornafuli was also been completed. The officials have been concerned to further speed up the work of the project. Terming fentanyl as a drug, the High Court has banned its transportation. A bench headed by Chief Justice Hassan Faiz Siddiqui passed the order today morning. Badal Paul from Jhanaida Shodar Upazila was arrested in 1997 with 250 bottles of fentanyl. Later, he was sentenced to life in prison in 2000. On appeal against the verdict, the High Court acquitted him as carrying fentanyl was not a crime under the Narcotics Control Act. Later, the state appealed against the verdict to Appellate Division. Today, the Appellate Division stayed the verdict and said that Badal's lifetime imprisonment sentence would remain in force. At the same time, the Appellate Division said that the fentanyl is a drug and it is illegal to transport the drug. Influential US Congressman Gregory W. Weeks today said that they do not want to impose any sanctions against Bangladesh and there is an excellent relationship between the two countries. Meeks said they want to make sure that they are not against Bangladesh. The previous sanctions were imposed on some individuals but not the entire organization. Meanwhile, the US Congressman and also said that the vested quarter from outside Bangladesh is strongly lobbying for imposing sanctions against more officials and the politicians as well. February, the month of language. On 21st February 1952, Jabbar, Rafiq, Borkut and many others took to the street violating section 144 to protect the mother tongue Bangla. In return for their bravery and fresh blood, the Bengali nation was able to establish mother tongue Bangla as state language. The movement was not limited to defending the dignity of language. It became a national motivation. Various programs are organized in memory of the martyrs. However, due to the corona epidemic, changes are being made in the program of Ekushe, including the Ekushe Book Fair this year. Viewers are taking a short with Eurobangla City SATV News. Welcome back. You're watching Eurobangla City SATV News. Now international news. Russian embassy in Washington said that Moscow will not back down in the face of the US sanction threats over Ukraine ahead of a phone call between the top US and Russian diplomats. It's also added that it is Washington, not Moscow, that generates tensions. Meanwhile, diplomatic efforts continue with US Secretary of State Antony Blinken due to hold talks with Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov later on Tuesday. Separately, UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson is travelling to Ukraine's capital Kyiv to find a diplomatic solution to arguments with Moscow. British Prime Minister Boris Johnson on Monday apologised in the Parliament for a series of COVID-19 lockdown breaching parties identified in an official inquiry, but vowed to fight on it in office, fending off new opposition calls to the resign following senior civil servant Sue Gray's report. Johnson vowed administrative changes to his Downing Street operation. There were failures of leadership and judgment by different parts of Number 10 and the Cabinet Office at different times, said Gray's 12-page report, referring to Johnson's offices. Japan's parliament on Tuesday adopted a resolution on the serious human rights situation in China. It is called Prime Minister Fumio Kishida's government to take steps to relieve the situation. However, the Beijing Winter Olympics loom just days ahead. Japan has already announced it will not send a government delegation to the Games following a US-led diplomatic boycott over concerns about China's human rights condition, although Tokyo avoided explicitly labeling its move as such. The United States, Britain and Canada today imposed sanctions against additional officials in Myanmar in measures timed to mark 1 year since the military seized power and plunged the country into chaos. A joint action by the three nations imposed sanctions on Commander-in-Chief Min Aung and other members of the junta, targeted judicial officials involved in prosecutions against deposed Nobel laureate Aung San Suu Kyi. Meanwhile, activists state silent strike at Myanmar marks coup anniversary under fresh sanction. Street emptied and shops shuttered across Myanmar on Tuesday as people defied junta orders to go about their business with a silent strike on the first anniversary of the military coup. A pregnant New Zealand journalist who was stranded in Afghanistan by her home country's COVID-19 border policy said she will return home after her government finally offered her a pathway back. The woman was unable to return home for New Zealand's strict COVID border rules. Meanwhile, New Zealand government said they have offered a quarantine spot to the journalist, Ms. Bellis, and set up flight arrangement. Ms. Bellis said the government has last week rejected her application to return home to give birth. Ms. Bellis compared that experience to the way she was treated by the Taliban, whom she had contacted to ask if she would be welcomed in Afghanistan as an unmarried pregnant woman. However, Taliban welcomed Ms. Bellis in spite of knowing her hardship through Taliban has been regularly criticized for brutally clamping down on women's rights. Toyota has settled a lawsuit that blamed overwork and harassment for the suicide of one of its employees. Deaths from overwork and on-the-job stress, including suicides, are a common problem in Japan. Toyota Motors President Akio Toyoda has apologized to the family. The lawsuit filed by the workers' family had sought 193 million yen in damages. Meanwhile, the government received 2,835 complaints of deaths from overwork. Toyota promised an investigation into the case to prevent a recurrence and apologize for the family's suffering. The authority is now trying to create a more transparent workplace environment that makes it easier for the people to speak up, as well as the management that's free of power harassment. The Lunar Year, also known as the Chinese New Year of the Tiger, has begun on 1st February, saying goodbye to the ox. Millions of families around the world will be celebrating Lunar New Year traditions as well, and due to the pandemic, the festivities can often last for up to 15 days with different tasks and activities taking place over the period. Although the pandemic has impacted the way people are celebrating this year, but many traditions as special food, cleanups, family gatherings or lighting lanterns are observed over the world. British nature broadcaster David Attenborough, the World Health Organization, are nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize 2022. Attenborough, 95, is best known for his landmark television series illustrating the natural world, including life on Earth and the Blue Planet. He was nominated jointly with the Intergovernment Science Policy Platform on Biodiversity and Ecosystem Services, EPBES, which assesses the state of biodiversity worldwide for policymakers. The 2021 laureate will be announced in October. Superstar Rihanna revealed her baby bump in Harlem over the weekend, dropping the news that she is pregnant with her first child. After the rumors of Rihanna and A$AP Rocky dating, the fair confirmed that last year that their romance was official. Billionaire superstar Rihanna, joined a fashion mogul and a singer behind numerous hits, is a huge fan favorite. Her fans are all over the world congratulated her from their heart. Now sports news. Minister Dhaka won against Kumilla Victorians by 50 runs. Kumilla Victorians is strong zone of the point table. Dhaka started the innings beautifully, while Tamim Iqbal played a wonderful innings. He had 46 runs in the scoreboard. After the failure of other batsmen, Mahmudullah made a 70-run innings and Dhaka got 181 runs total, which was a challenging score for Kumilla. Kumilla lost Du Plessis early, while Mahmudullah Hassan Joy was trying to go ahead, but he had to go with only 46 runs. Kumilla had to surrender to the brilliant bowling of Minister Dhaka. Before ending, we go to the Eurobangla City SATV News headlines again. BNP chairperson Khaltezia is going to return home today from hospital after long treatment for various health complications. The much-awaited Podda Bridge will be open for vehicular movement in next June, said Road Transport and Bridges Minister. US does not want to impose any sanction against Bangladesh, said US Congressman Gregory Meeks today. We're up to date so far here on Eurobangla City SATV News, and to know the latest news, visit www.satvtv.tv. Stay with SATV.